Peace, peace, peace. What is your brother Tavon Swino, aka the Orthodox? We're wishing you all peace and blessings. Uh, this evening, I'm very, I'm excited and intrigued about this topic here, right? Because for the last couple years, there's been this topic floating around in the Christian Islamic debate circles and in apologetic circles and in polemic circles, this concept of the Islamic dilemma. If you're familiar with it, I don't need to explain it to you. Um, just as a quick, and this is not even going to do with justice in any way, shape, or form. The basic concept is something that came out in the early 2000s, created by someone named Sam Shamoon, um, with the concept of if if the Bible is true, the Quran is false. If the Quran is true, the Quran is false. And this concept to where the Quran um, confirms the previous scriptures, and tells people of the previous scriptures to judge thereby. Um, but when they do so, he believes that the theology of the Quran contradicts the theology of the previous scriptures. Therefore, it makes the Quran false. With a couple of extra points on top of that. Just keeping it real simple. If you're familiar with the topic, you know what it is. Um, However, uh, very recently, there's been some young Muslims who've been going at this topic super hard because, and let me try to put it like this. Um, this isn't a topic that's very big in the Islamic world because most Muslims don't take it serious. Like I said, it first got introduced in 2003 by Sam Shimon, and it really hasn't been that big of a topic because the first time they heard it, as far as I'm concerned, as far as a lot of people in the Islamic world are concerned, they thoroughly refuted the topic, right? And the argument. Um, However, it regained traction within the past couple of years with a few younger apologists, like Godlogic, Life, people like Chris, Speaker's Corner, people like Inspiring Philosophy, etc. Um, and the argument kind of regained some ground in the apologetics community, so to speak. However, it seems as though it's come to a head and is now going to begin to fall back off again, as it seems as though uh, the Christian apologists who are pushing this argument again that has been refuted for the past 22 years. Um, they're starting to recognize why it's been refuted for the past 22 years, and so whenever they try to issue this argument, it's falling flat on its face, whether they recognize it or not. And it seems as though they're going to begin to recognize it real soon. And if not, it's going to happen very soon with some debates coming up. But without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and just show a couple of things, and then get right into this video. Um, just wanted to break a couple of things down right quick. So, one, the Islamic dilemma has been around since 2003 when Sam Shimon first attempted to use it in a debate with Nadir Ahmed and was refuted then, again, in 2003. You can see this on the internet. Um, Again, Sam Shimon didn't debate this topic again until 2024 when he debated Khalil Andani on this topic, right? So from 2003 to 2024, Sam Shimon did not debate this topic. The one and only time that David would ever formally debated this concept, um, and this topic of the Islamic dilemma, was in 2016 against Shabir Ali. So 3 debates in 22 years doesn't seem like they are confident in defending this argument. One more time, 3 debates in 22 years doesn't seem like they're confident in defending this argument. So why are they running it? Why are they pushing it? And I'm gonna keep it a stack, fam. I was in a DeenRespond's chat the other day, and this young Muslim brother's out there doing work on this topic, putting hands on people using this topic, um, and thoroughly refuting it and explaining why it's being refuted. and he's got a debate coming up with Chris Speaker's Corner, who he's debated on this topic before, but they'll be doing a 2-on-2 debate. It seems on Modern Day Debates. Shout out to them. I've done a debate on that channel myself, and he'll be debating it with another Muslim named the Orthodox Muslim, aka Libiano, who's also been doing a lot of work on this topic as well, and others. And so I'm saying here and now that debate's going to be the watershed moment. Everything's going to come to a crest for the Islamic dilemma in that debate, and it won't be successfully used going forward in the future unless people use it for what it's been continually used for. And that's what I keep saying. That's what I said here in the chat that got put up on the screen by them. Is the Islamic dilemma is just a fundraising tool for Christians. That's it. Again, I can't stress this point enough. This isn't something that has any weight in the Islamic world, and it's not something that brings Muslims to Christianity in any way, shape, or form. It's not something that's a persuadable argument in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to go thoroughly through it on another video I do, because this is going to be a part 1 on this here. I'll do a part 2 tomorrow and go into it a bit more and thorough when I have a little bit more time. But I'm going to let this tape run here where my man Life, A.K.A. Godlogic 2.0. Okay, this is Godlogic's man, right? He mainly runs his channel off this topic here, the Islamic dilemma. And he has his full almost hour and a half debate with DeenRespond's on this concept on Dean's channel. And it's interesting because at certain points he doesn't even seem like he's familiar with what the concept of the Islamic dilemma is. And so it seems like the argument seems to kind of change and shift a little bit. But on top of that, Dean thoroughly refutes the argument, and it gets Life to agree with what refutes the argument, and Life still doesn't comprehend what's going on. So right now, the Islamic dilemma argument is kind of out on its feet. Like it was never effective in the Islamic world, right? Ever. It was only effective in the Christian world, again, to fundraise off of. That's all it's ever been effective for ever in this world, is to fundraise off of Christians. However, even amongst Christians, I'm saying right now, and with this debate coming up with DeenRespond's and the Orthodox Muslim with Chris Speaker's Corner, and I forgot who the other person is going to be in that debate, but it's going to be a 2-on-2. That this argument of the Islamic dilemma is going to be out on its feet. It's going to be knocked out cold and shown for what it is, because again, it's not. There's a bunch of assumptions made that get easily proven wrong by every Muslim that ever deals with this argument, because it goes against. So I'm not even I'm not even a Sunni Muslim or a Shia Muslim, right? I'm a Quranist with my thing, right? But however you slice it, whether you come from the Sunni perspective, the Shia perspective, my perspective, etc., we're all going to agree on certain basic concepts that again, it takes the feet out from this argument from the outset, right? And so one of those concepts is that the Quran does not claim a universal corruption of the previous text in any way, shape, or form. And so, but beyond that, like I said, I'll get into that tomorrow when I got more time, because I got to make sure I got to use my time wisely right now. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into how my man Godlogic 2.0, A.K.A. Life, officially cooks the Islamic dilemma. Officially cooks it for good. Because he ends up agreeing with what ends up falsifying the argument. But without further ado, I'm going to share screen on the actual video itself, and we're going to get this popping. I hope y'all enjoy. Let me get my fair use up for sure. Let me see what's good with the comment in the chat. Yeah. Sig does a lot of video with Godlogic. I'm trying to get in contact with Sig to see if he's not doing some debates or whatnot. Not with me, but on the channel I'm trying to set up for sure. But yeah, without further ado, fam, got the fair use popping. I'm gonna do this here and enjoy.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
That's good, that's good. So yeah, just on the topic, come defend the Islamic dilemma. Do you wanna just quickly lay out for us what you think the Islamic dilemma is?
Yeah. So the Quran speaks about the Torah and the Injil. And the Torah and Injil directly contradict the Quranic theology. Just to put it simple.
Okay. So why do you believe that the Quran does an absolute confirmation and not a general one?
Well, because I don't see anywhere in your Quran where it does a general confirmation, nor does that really matter, I would say. I mean, from my position, I look at it as if you're going to speak on books prior and you're going to attach yourself to religious history, well, then it better match. It shouldn't be, well, whatever I say about religious history goes and whatever disagrees with me is out the window. So, I mean, even if you want to go that way, I mean, I guess we can go down that route, but I feel like that's somewhat irrelevant. But I mean, it's your panel.
It's a pretty cool model. Lets you add both images and prompt text to edit a bit an image, or even chain a couple images together while keeping consistency. If you already have grip tape nodes installed, you can go to our GitHub, download the Black Forest Labs updated library, which now has the context models in it. Just follow the instructions to add your Black Forest API key and register the library with your engine. And then you can create a flow. So you'll see.
Yeah, so yeah, we can start with that because the dilemma hinges on an absolute affirmation. If you're gonna say that we're gonna talk about, okay, the Quran, why is it asserting its dominance over history, etc.
Mhm.
That's like neither here or there for the dilemma. The dilemma requires an absolute affirmation in order for it to be a dilemma, because the author of the Quran confirms something that it inherently has the contents of what's confirming contradicts what the theology it has, like the way you presented the dilemma just now.
Mhm.
So we have
the reason I
instances
have an
to show.
issue,
Yeah,
the
go on.
reason I have an issue with that is because I find it hard to realize, like, okay, what is it actually confirming? Is it confirming generally, right? General confirmation.
Yep.
If we go with that, is it confirming, like, what is it generally confirming? Is it just generally confirming everything it agrees with? Or is it generally confirming, like, what you believe the book actually to be? That's like where I get
Yeah,
confused.
so
with general confirmation.
so the general affirmation is going to be a general affirmation of the themes that are in continuity with the Quran. So, for example, monotheism, for example, the contents of prophecies in the future, you're going to apply it to the church, we're going to apply it to the Muslims, parable of the tenants, the banquet prophecy, the prophecy of the workers, like these mentioned in the Gospels. These will be prophecies that we will include in that. The commandments, saying to obey the law, how to inherit eternal life by giving it to charity, pardoning the oppressor. These are all things that will be confirmed generally as like sayings of Jesus, which would be the Injil. The Old Testament, same thing, prophet stories, ethics,
Well,
laws.
in regards to what I meant, I meant that statement by asking, like, specifically, like, what is it generally confirming, right? Because if you're saying the Quran is
Themes,
generally
yeah.
confirming, well, then have you been able to, like, identify what that is? For example, if it's just, well, it's a general confirmation of the previous scripture. So if someone hands you what they believe the Torah and the Injil to be, are you just applying this general standard to that without knowing if that's actually the Torah? Or do you know that that's actually the Torah and then you're applying your general standard?
Oh, are you asking if we believe that the Bible contains the Torah and Injil?
Not necessarily. I'm asking, for example, is there a specific way of identifying that you are actually generally picking apart
Yeah.
the things that are in the specific book that you're looking for. So if you say, you know, my Quran is a general confirmation of the Injil, right? Doesn't confirm all of it. Okay,
Yep.
well then here's the famous question: what is the Injil? So if we hand you
No
Matthew,
problem.
Mark,
Yeah,
Luke, and John,
yeah.
are you just accepting that that is what people say the Injil is, and then you use your standard, or do you know that that is the Injil? You understand what I'm saying? And then you
Yeah.
put your standard in that. That's basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, to put it very simply for you guys, the Injil is very easy to respond to.
Mhm.
What it is. The Injil is the general sayings, parables, commandments, teachings of Isa alayhi salam that you find in your Gospels, and they're not going to be the biographical notes of the authors. It's not going to be the opinions of the authors. Like for example, when Mark adds his opinion of this is how Jesus made all foods clean, when he said it's not what comes out of you, it's not what comes in you, it's what comes out of you that makes you unclean or that defiles you. That's in Mark 7. Then you have that in Matthew 15 as well. You know, the opinion that Mark adds to that, that's not going to be part of the Injil, nor is the biographical notes going to be part of the Injil, because Isa alayhi salam wasn't given his biography. He was given parables, commandments, teachings, etc., to add on to the Torah, as well as to prophesy the nation of Islam and the Muslims. That's what the Injil is very clearly from the Quran. You look at chapter 48, verse 29, it talks about the likeness of the companions in the Injil is that of a seed that grows. That's in Mark chapter 4. You have in Quran chapter 9, verse 111, it says that the believers exchange wealth, money for eternal life. That's found in the Mark chapter 10, verse 18, Luke chapter 18, verse 19, Matthew chapter 19, verse 17, talking about the man that approached Jesus. And then Jesus says, "Why do you call me good?" Then he says, "Keep the commandments." And then he says, "Sell everything that you have, and then you inherit eternal life." So that's chapter 9, verse 111 of the Quran. That's the parallel you see. Chapter 5, verse 47, you look at our earliest tafsir, it talks about Muqatil bin Sulaiman, talking about pardoning the oppressor. Look at Zamakhshari, who's also early. He says this is to implement the Torah. So these are jurisprudential stuff. Chapter
Yeah.
7, verse 100, chapter 7, verse 157 is the last mentioning of the Injil that's mentioned in the Quran, where the contents are explicit. Then that will tell you that it's the mentioning of the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims, the description of the Prophet. And then I listed to you those parables before, the parable of the tenants, the parable of the banquet prophecy, etc. So that's clearly the Injil. Like there's no problem for any Muslim on the question of what the Injil is. So if that answers your question.
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially it does. But now I would like to pose kind of like, you know, let me throw the monkey wrench in there. So if I were to present you, for example, let's say if I were to say, well, no, you know, I believe the Gospel of Thomas is the Injil. Would you apply
Yep.
the same standard to that?
No, so it's the four Gospels, particularly because most likely the Quran is referring to the Diatessaron.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm. So now let's kind of dig deep into that. How do you know that it's the four Gospels that your Quran is speaking of?
Because the Diatessaron, do you know what the Diatessaron is?
I'm not familiar. Go ahead and update me.
Okay, so the academic majority of what was circulating in and around Arabia, around Syria, etc., is Tatian's collection of the four Gospels. It's a combination of the four Gospels. That's the Diatessaron. So that's what most scholars today believe when it says Injil singular, it's referring to the Diatessaron.
Okay, so you're using that as an understanding to assume. So you don't really know. You're just saying, well, if this was circulating, then I'm just going to apply my standard to these books. So you don't actually really know
Yeah,
if
it's
this is what your Quran is speaking about. You're just assuming because it was circulating around in that area.
Yeah, so this is the academic majority. It's not just an assumption. This is based on like evidence and what academics say.
Okay, so you're one of the Muslims that believe the Injil your Quran speaks of is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I.e., within the sayings of them, yeah.
Oh, I mean, it either. Well, I like to fall in this line here where it's like it either is or it isn't. So, is it Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Like, for example, is it what they wrote? I understand that you guys have a position where you disagree with the biographical material and etc. That's fine, but are you agreeing with me
it's
that
the sayings
Matthew,
that they
Mark,
wrote
Luke,
down,
and
yeah.
John is the Injil your Quran speaks of?
Yeah, it's the sayings that they wrote down, yeah.
Okay. Is there any way you can present that without like assuming that that is what it is?
Okay. So let me put it simply. The Diatessaron is the combination of the 4 Gospels, like I told you, it was circulating in Arabia. That's one justification. Second justification is every time the Injil is mentioned, you in the Quran, and every time you have in the Hadiths a mentioning of something that parallels the Gospels, you will find that within the 4 Gospels. So, for example, Quran chapter 9 verse 111, it talks about sacrificing your life and sacrificing your wealth for the sake of eternal life. Now, you find that in the Gospels, sacrificing your life for the gospel. It's in Mark chapter 10. You also have in Mark chapter 10. Yeah.
But remember what I said earlier. It seems as if is that you just find something that agrees or lines up with what's being said in your Quran, and then you've now made that part of the Injil that your Quran speaks of. Now we know your Quran doesn't detail if the Injil is Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. You've actually did that on your own. So when we tell you that it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we always get pushback. So now I'm kind of blown away that you are saying that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is basically the Gospels that your Quran speaks
because
of,
because the Quran,
the gospel that Muhammad is saying.
Because the Quran, because the Quran makes it clear, like everything I just listed to you from the Quran, from the early tafsirs, every single one where it mentions the contents of the Injil, you will find that within Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John.
But you can also find statements that align with Jesus's teachings or whatever that doesn't go against his teaching, and you can also find reiterated stories of Christ outside and forged.
Okay. How many times does the Quran speak of the contents of the Injil?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it talks about the Injil a lot.
Okay, so at any given point, does it say in the Injil it is written, and then it says the biographical information? No,
well,
never.
I'm not speaking about what the Quran says is in the Injil. I'm just speaking in general from the conversations that I've had.
But that's the whole okay. Put your conversations to the side. We're talking about what the Quran's conception of the Injil is. I don't care what Muslims. I don't care what Muslims have told you.
So are any of the passages that you quoted? Okay, so I'm putting your standard back on you then. Are any of the passages that you quoted to identify the Injil, does it say this is in the Injil?
Yes, that's the whole point of me listening.
Okay, so give me the Quran verse and I would like to read it.
No problem. So chapter 48, verse 29. You have, this is their, not there, and their parable in the gospel is that of a seed that sprouts its tiny branches, making it strong, and then becomes thick, standing firmly on its stem, delighting the planters. This is Mark chapter 4.
All right, now show me Mark chapter 4.
Here. No one's brought up this position to you before.
No, I think it's actually interesting, and I think it actually backfires once we get to Mark chapter 4. I think it's going to backfire.
Okay. Again, he said, "What shall we say the kingdom of God is like? Or what parable shall we use to describe it? It is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of seeds on earth. Yet when planted, it grows and becomes the largest of all garden plants, with such big branches that the birds can perch in the shade." So that's clear reference from Mark, chapter 48, verse 29.
All right, cool, perfect. So now with that information and that being said, now that you're a Muslim, you're different. So now I'm gonna argue with you from your position, meaning that you accept Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the Gospels that your Quran speaks of.
The sayings, yeah. Generally the sayings in there, yeah.
Well, you haven't established a general confirmation yet, but like I said,
but I mean, bro, because you shifted it to what's the Injil, so we have to do things one at a time, no?
Well, no, you've already established what it is. That's what I'm saying. I asked you how do you identify it, and you just explained how you identify it.
Okay, beautiful. So can we go over to justifying the general confirmation now?
Well, if you want to, yeah.
Okay, so my position is established for you on what the Injil is in the Quran, yeah?
For you, yeah, for you. If this is how you establish, how you find and identify the Injil, then that's fine. Other people do it other ways. They see.
All right, do you have any critiques from what because you said it's going to backfire me in Mark 4, so how is it going to backfire me?
Well, initially, when it comes down to identifying the Injil, obviously, when we talk about it, it's because we want you guys to agree that it is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So I'm just making sure that you have a solid foundation as to understanding why it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And you just presented a verse here where it says, and their parable in the gospel is that of a mustard seed. Then you went and found what people tell you the gospel is, and you found that verse and you said, aha, well, this must be what my Quran is speaking of. So essentially, you're still doing the same thing, but I have no problem with you doing this. So if this
Okay,
is what
so you think
you
think my position, or just to clarify, you think my position is a fair position for someone to hold to?
I do believe that this position is a fair position for someone to hold to. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one
But
more verse.
like I said, it's going to backfire in a second. That's the only point that I'm mentioning. It's if you
Okay. So now we're getting to the point of general or absolute confirmation. Yeah.
well, not yet. First of all, we
Okay,
got
go ahead.
yeah. Let me critique this position here. So this is part of the dilemma here. Now, if you found a way to identify the Injil by way of finding something that agrees with what your Quran is saying, then you turn around and make that the Injil, then that's fine. I don't have any problem with you doing that. I just think that you're still taking whatever anybody presents you and says that this is the Injil. So fine. What you'd have to deal with is the fact that that same book contradicts your prophet. He contradicts your prophet's message.
Okay.
And the only way that you can derive any information or get out of anything said in opposed to Muhammad is just by saying that it differs from the Quran. So that means it's automatically false or corrupt.
Okay, no problem.
Is that what you're going to do if I present something in Mark that contradicts Muhammad?
No. So my point is to say that the intention of the Quran, when it's confirming what you have and it's mentioning these parts of the Gospels, it consciously knows that there's stuff that contradicts with the Quran, and yet still goes ahead and edits that material and still says it's confirming what you have because it's a general confirmation. Now, this is the main justification. The main justification is to say,
do you want your videos to look like this? Well, in just 14 days, we've taught all these people how to do it. Our program, 14-Day Filmmaker, only costs $48, and it's taught over.
What makes you wait? Let me critique that.
Give me a second. I'm almost done, dude. I'm almost done. So the point is to say that the author of the Quran has knowledge of the Injil, so much so that it would be absurd to say that it's not consciously editing the crucifixion. So to put it this way, do you think that someone knowing the idea that you have the parable of the seed, that you have the idea that you exchange money for heaven, like in Mark 10:18, someone that knows that you sacrifice your life for the gospel, you get heaven, someone that knows something like pardoning the oppressor, right, is something that's found in the gospel. Do you think someone that has the knowledge of all these things will not know that the gospel talks about the crucifixion of Jesus?
So you ready for me to respond?
Yeah, just a direct answer, please, to my question.
All right. So what you're doing is you're asserting that this man is making some sort of correction. So you've jumped. Now, at first you said, okay, look, you know what? I'm going to read something in this book and then I'm going to go and try to find it. And then now I'm going to point to that as what he was talking about. Then you read something that differs and then you say, well, no, he's making a correction. Nowhere does it say it's making a correction. So just like when you went to this verse to show how you got information on how you can actually at least believe this could possibly be the gospel, which I agree. I think that was a good thing for you to do, to find that verse, find that it says that this is something in the gospel, and then go find that and then say, wow, okay, so this, at least this right here, this book that I found this in must possibly be the gospel. I don't know where you got the rest of the books and threw them all in there as well, but at the end of the day, I can accept that position. But now you've did a leap with this position that you're holding now by saying that when you see something that differs from these books, it's all of a sudden making a correction. Where are you getting that from?
Okay. Yeah. So please just answer the question I asked before. So
okay, simplify.
Okay. So you have someone that knows the Gospels. Just one individual. Don't worry about the Quran. Don't worry about
who is the person to have known the Gospels? Who knows the Gospels?
It's an individual that you know of. That it doesn't matter who. It's just an individual that has read the Gospel.
That's the point.
Okay.
Who knows the Gospel?
This is the point of the example. It's just any individual. It could be anyone.
Well, I know, but if the example is that this person knows the gospel, then I'm assuming that this person would have read it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Okay,
It can't be Muhammad.
to put it simply, the author of the Quran, whoever you want it to take it to be.
Right. That's what
The
I'm
author-
saying.
the
Your
author
example is
the author of
flawed
the
because
Quran.
the knowing of the gospel
Okay.
can't be from Muhammad.
Okay, no
How can
problem.
Muhammad know the gospel?
Here, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, the author of the Quran knows the parable of the seed from the gospel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're asserting that you're God.
No, not my God. No. You can take that. That's why I said someone. Okay, anyone, any human being, but here particularly the author of the Quran, whoever you want to take it to be, the
Well,
human
no, we
being.
have to assert. We have to assert the person speaking.
Okay,
So
okay,
are you
who
saying
do
Muhammad
you
knows the gospels?
who do you believe author of the Quran?
A man, Muhammad.
Muhammad. Okay, thank you. Okay, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, does he know in the Gospels that there's a parable of a seed growing and then the branches grow firm, etc.?
Thank you. So he's quoting that he heard something was in the
Yep.
gospels. Yes. I can't assume
Okay.
that he knows the gospels. He knows that this is a passage from the gospels. Obviously, he's
Okay.
uttering that out of his mouth, but he doesn't know
Where's
that that's true.
where's
He
where's
can't
he
read
getting
the
it?
Gospels.
Where's he getting it from?
Where's he getting it from? Yeah, the
Yeah.
information was out there.
Where?
Yeah, from what other people said. He heard from what other people said.
From
And then he said,
oral traditions.
yeah, if someone was around
Okay,
and
oral traditions.
speaking
Okay.
and making statements about the gospels, Muhammad heard it and repeated it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Was he certain that this was from the gospel or not?
You said, was he sure?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think he was sure of a lot of the stuff that
he
he
wasn't.
said. So you
But
can
no,
assume. You can assume he was. You can assume he was
I'm
confident.
I'm asking you your position.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you. I said you can assume he was confident in saying that, but I mean, I really whether he was sure or not is irrelevant.
So he knows it's possible that it's not actually from the gospel.
Okay, let me. Look, here's the point that I'm saying. Did Muhammad ever read the Gospels?
Under your position, no.
Okay, no. From your position, did Muhammad ever read the Gospels?
On my position, he's getting it from God, so he's not.
Okay.
He hasn't read the Gospels. No.
Right, exactly. But even from your position, he never read the Gospel, so he didn't know that it was actually in there.
No, he knows because it's getting from God. But regardless, bring it back.
So from your position,
my position
I
has nothing to do with yours.
Position, Dean, from your position, well, he got it from God, so he didn't have to know if it was actually in there or not. From my position, this man made a bunch of blunders, spoke on gospels that he knew nothing about. And
where's the blunder? Show me. Okay. Show me one. Okay, show me one blunder where he says this is found in the gospel, but it's not found in the 4 gospels.
What?
At every given point, when the Quran says this is found in the gospel, you literally find it in the gospels. You find it in the sayings of Jesus in the gospels. I proved that to you just before. But anyways, the point I'm telling you within your position, because we're bringing it back to my main point. My main point is that the author of the Quran, you believe is Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the author of the Quran isn't sure if it is from the gospel or isn't from the gospel. Now, the author of the Quran is contradicting the material he's hearing. The author of the Quran is contradicting the oral traditions he's hearing, according to you, in given instances. So, for example, Solomon disbelieving, he's contradicting the oral tradition he's hearing, right?
You're essentially like shooting yourself in the foot by making this claim. So what you're saying is that he's made. I don't have a problem with him making statements about what is found in the Gospels. I have no problem with that. If this is how you want to derive your information on how to find what the Gospels are, I think that's a beautiful position. I think more Muslims should actually do that. The problem is that you have Muslims, and I'm not arguing their position. I'm just letting you know they run around saying Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is not the Injil your Quran is speaking of. And I know you've heard of this plenty of times. So what I'm saying is that I actually enjoyed the fact that you've done that homework to say, well, you know what? This is what was circulating around that time. So this must be what my Quran is speaking of. Now, what you guys have done in this position, which I think is a move forward, is you guys have finally accepted the Muslims that are in your worldview. You guys have finally accepted the fact that, you know what, we're gonna have to give it.
No offense, Life. No offense. We're not dealing with the substance of what I'm saying. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the oral traditions. I'll let you speak for a while, dude. I'll let you speak for a good minute.
Okay.
But you're not addressing back to the point I was making.
I
Okay, no, because I just asked you about Solomon not disbelieving.
I am. I was about to answer that right now. You cut me
Okay,
off.
okay. Can you please, because all of the stuff you just mentioned right now has nothing to do with what I just said. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. It's that anything that goes against your Quran, you're automatically going to throw it out.
No,
as
that's not
false.
what I'm saying. Oh my God.
Okay,
Dude,
okay.
please,
So,
please,
okay,
please,
so the
please.
story. Okay, so the story.
One second. Right now, I'm working from your paradigm. Okay, let me make it very simple. I'm working from your paradigm. You believe the author of the Quran. I'm showing you right now that your position is absurd. You believe the author of the Quran is hearing oral traditions, and whenever he hears something that he dislikes, he goes ahead and contradicts it. So, for example, Solomon disbelieving, he would have heard Solomon disbelieving, and then he would have said, "Wait up, nope, I don't believe Solomon disbelieved," and then he edits that. That's what you believe, right?
Brother, no. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is
So
that
what do you
when you
believe?
find it, what I'm saying is it's just what I'm saying. You gotta pay attention to what I'm saying, bro.
You haven't
Your
addressed this yet,
your
actually. But
assumption,
go ahead.
your assumption is that when you find a differing story, that
Yep.
your Quran is automatically making a correction. Am I right?
Oh my God,
Right about
dude.
that or no?
Even with the best science, the best technology, the best reason, there's no guarantee that we will use those tools.
This is a polemic against those that believe that he disbelieved. Do you not understand?
That's irrelevant. I'm saying
Yes, it is because
I'm
okay,
saying
wait,
when
wait.
you go into your Quran, are you Dean? Okay, let's do a more broader example, right?
No. Focus on this. Focus on someone disbelieving. Okay, so you're telling me, but this is my position. I'm not saying because the Quran contradicts it, therefore it's a conscious edit. I'm not saying that. The Quran knows people are saying. So look at this. It says here, never did Solomon disbelieve.
So
Okay,
what?
so
That's
the
irrelevant.
Quran. Wait, one second. Listen very carefully. He's not saying the author of the Quran isn't just contradicting. The author of the
That's
Quran,
irrelevant, though.
the author of the Quran. Wait, I'm almost done. Give me 5 seconds. The author of the Quran hears from people that Solomon disbelieved, and he's saying, "Never did Solomon disbelieve." You agree with that?
It's irrelevant. I agree that the verse says that. Who cares?
No.
That's irrelevant.
That's not what I'm saying. Is the author of the Quran hearing traditions saying that? So is he
brother,
hearing?
if you let me,
Is he hearing
Dean,
traditions? Is he hearing traditions that said he is?
Dean, that's what you
Go ahead.
assume. That's the assumption that you make because of some
What?
different passages. Listen to what I'm saying, bro. Listen to what I'm saying. I'll show you
Go
right
ahead,
now.
go ahead.
If you allow me
Go
to
ahead.
show you, then
Yeah, take your time. Go ahead.
I'll show you right now. So you said Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the Gospels, correct?
Can you focus on this, please? Or what are you
Oh
doing?
my gosh, Dean, I'm going to show you how you're making a blunder. Watch,
No,
you're going to prove my point.
You're making a claim.
Question.
Bert, can you please stick on topic, and then we can get to that. No problem. But you made a claim about Solomon disbelieving, and I'm pulling you up on it.
Does this nowhere can you take anything that you read here and say that he's correcting anything from the previous scriptures?
Okay,
Nowhere
okay.
can you
Is
the
author of the Quran, is the author of the Quran hearing a tradition that Solomon had disbelieved?
If Muhammad heard this and he made a statement,
I'm asking you if he did. I'm asking you. Is there any indication that he's hearing a tradition?
Of course, he would have had to heard. He would have heard this from somewhere.
Okay. No. I'm not saying did he hear that Solomon didn't disbelieve. I'm saying did he hear a tradition that Solomon did disbelieve?
I'm saying in general what he's speaking here, and I know this passage. What he's saying here and what he's referring to is irrelevant for the statement that he makes in his verse to conclude your point. That's what I'm saying. I understand what you're trying to say, but I'm saying that it's going to backfire if you allow me to prove my point. You're not allowing me to go to somewhere else to prove to you that you're just assuming.
Why do you have to go somewhere else? What?
Because I'm going to show you that you're just jumping to conclusions. I'll show you right now if you allow me. You're not trying to allow me, bro.
You're literally the one that's jumping to another point. And you tell me I'm jumping.
I'm not jumping to another point. This is the same thing. I'm jumping.
Go ahead. Bring what
you like, you're doing.
Yeah, bring.
Okay,
what you like.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So in Luke, Zechariah couldn't speak for how long?
3 days.
No, is the entire term of the pregnancy. It's
Okay,
more than 3 days. In your Quran, Zechariah couldn't speak for how long?
3 days.
All right, which one is correct?
Obviously, the Quran.
Why?
Because first we establish that the Quran is true, and then we take it as a criterion over the past scriptures.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Exactly. So do you see what I'm saying? What you've done is you've established a position where you said, well, I'm not actually going to agree with this position, even though I'm going to accept Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the gospel. Whenever I see something differing, I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm going to go back to the Quran. That's the point that I'm making here, bro.
But that's not the Islamic dilemma. The Islamic dilemma is that the Quran is confirming everything, and at the same time,
I'm presenting you the issue in your position. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm showing you that your position is flawed and jumping to conclusions that your Quran is automatically correct over something just because you believe that your Quran is true.
Okay,
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this just to see where we're at.
You made your point. No problem.
In Luke,
wait,
is that corrupted or is it just not true?
Life. One second. You made your point, and I give you your answers to your questions. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. Is there a concept of the afterlife before Christianity?
Brother, that's irrelevant.
Oh, why don't you, bro? I answered your question, dude. Why don't you
That's
answer
irrelevant. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. That's irrelevant. Are we here to Are we here to hash out the Islamic dilemma?
I don't want to. No, because you're the one who jumped it to a completely different topic. I'm willing to engage on it, no problem. But I just answered your questions very.
Dean, I didn't jump into a different. Dean, I didn't jump into a different topic.
I answered your questions very quickly and very succinctly. You can't answer one question I've just given you. Is there a concept of an afterlife before Christianity?
Bro, that is irrelevant.
Can you answer, Bert? Oh my goodness. Can you answer?
What is the relevancy of the question?
You will see. What's the relevancy? You will see when I'm done. So, is there a concept of an afterlife before Christianity?
Dean, are you gonna stay on topic, bro, or are you gonna divert?
Bro, I just let you divert right now. Can you answer?
I didn't. Wait, how did I divert? How did I divert? Please explain to me how I diverted, bro.
Because you're okay. I'll tell you very simply. You were running the Islamic dilemma. Then you put it to another point where you're like, okay, how do you know that when the Quran says something and the Bible says something, why do you prefer the Quran over this tradition in the Bible? And then I answered very quickly, very succinctly every point you made. Then you brought up the point that, but you have to, every time I'm going to bring you a difference, you're going to have to say it's the Quran, because you believe the Quran is true. Now I'm showing you believe the same thing with
how was that diverting? Because this is
because that has nothing to do with the Islamic dilemma.
When you went to chapter 2, verses 102, you read something in there and you tried to assert that he's making corrections with something previous. He's making a correction as far as the previous scriptures. You asserted that. And what I'm saying is that you don't get to just jump to conclusions because you see a differing position or a statement being made in regards to something that happened.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Here we go. Life.
Jesus being the Son of God.
Is your point that okay? You realize my point has nothing to do with whether it's actually a correction or not, right? My whole point is whether it's a correction or not is neither here or there. The point is the author of the Quran disagrees with the oral tradition he's hearing. Do you agree with me on that level? That he's hearing a tradition that Solomon disbelieved and he disagrees with that oral tradition? Do you at least agree on that basic level?
Well, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, he obviously disagrees with
That's the whole point.
Disagrees with the position. He obviously disagrees with the position that he heard about Solomon. Hold on. Here's the thing, though. That's irrelevant.
I let you go. Life, listen. I let you go. I answered your questions, but you completely missed my whole point. My whole point wasn't whether it's actually a correction or not. My whole point is the author of the Quran disagrees with oral traditions he's hearing. Now, this is the main point. Now, this is the conclusion.
Okay, so is he correcting the oral tradition or is he just disagreeing?
The main point is disagreement. It doesn't. The correction is neither here nor there.
Disagreement true?
That's completely irrelevant to the point I'm making.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I don't care. I'll grant to it.
But I could have swore. But I could have swore earlier. This is the point you were trying to make. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood. But
no problem. I'm saying from the author's perspective, he's correcting. That's what I was saying. From his perspective,
so you do believe that the actual previous.
From the author's perspective, he is editing it because he wants to correct it. Okay, but whether he's actually correcting it or not historically, really, whether he's actually correcting or not is neither here or there. Right now, all I care about is the
you brought up, bro.
But he missed the whole point. The whole point is the author of the Quran is listening to traditions. Okay, I'm granting you that he's listening to oral traditions. Okay, does the author of the Quran know for certain whether this tradition about Solomon is in the Bible that he disbelieved. Is he certain that it's in the Bible?
Introducing a new kind of expo marker that's permanent, only as long as you want. You have
No, I can't be sure that he knows that this is in the book. No.
Okay, so he's uncertain whether it's in the book or not.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
does the author?
I
Go
can't
ahead.
agree. Yeah. So I can't agree that Muhammad knew anything about what was in the book. One, because he couldn't read. Two, he couldn't read it, even if he wanted to. So no, I can't agree with you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Wait.
Just wait, bro.
Hold up, Leafy. Hold up one second. So Life. The point I'm telling you is, which you agreed to, is the author of the Quran is hearing to oral traditions, and yet what he's hearing, he's contradicting, but he's not sure if it's a Torah or not. Okay, does the author of the Quran want any contradictions in his book?
Brother, of course not.
Of course not. Thank you. So you're telling me that the author of the Quran, please don't interrupt me, I'll let you respond. The author of the Quran doesn't want any contradictions in his book, and yet you're telling me whenever he hears these oral traditions and he's not sure whether it's in the Torah or not, you're telling me he's comfortable with the fact that he could be contradicting a book that he's absolutely confirming. He has no problem with taking the gamble on Solomon disbelieving, on God resting. It's found in Surah Qaf, the correction. You have other corrections like or not contradiction. Well, yeah, you're going to say it's not corrections, but the point is he's consciously editing material such as Moses, peace be upon him, not having leprous, saying that it's white as snow and pure. It wasn't leprous, correcting what the Bible says. And as well as Aaron making the golden calf, switches the role from Aaron to this man named the Samari. And I can give you many other corrections from the author's perspective, many more adjustments to the oral traditions he's hearing. And you're telling me every time he does this, he's making a gamble that he's not contradicting the Torah that he's potentially hearing from these oral traditions. For me, that's absurd. For me, that's untenable, because the author of the Quran wouldn't want contradictions, so he wouldn't be taking these gambles. The better thing to do is, if he's hearing these traditions and he could be possibly contradicting the Torah, the safest position for the author of the Quran to take would be to not contradict anything he's hearing, because he's trying to absolutely affirm the text. He's trying to absolutely affirm the possible Torah that he's hearing from the oral traditions. So why in the hell would he be contradicting the very thing that he's possibly hearing from these oral traditions? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know that. Thank you for giving us the Islamic dilemma. That's the point. Makes no sense. So he's pointing us back to scriptures. He's talking about scriptures. He says he's in line with the scriptures, but the only way you can know if he's actually in line with these scriptures is just by accepting what he says about the scriptures. That's the point, bro. If these books are true, Islam is false. That's the point, bro. That's the Islamic dilemma. He's talking about books and he's getting information wrong. He's inaccurately reiterating things wrong from these passages. So when he speaks about the Gospels that you believe is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, well, we know that if we go to Mark 15, we see Jesus Christ being crucified, literally, not in appearance. He's literally being crucified. You'd have to throw that out, because all you're doing is you're saying, well, I assume that this guy didn't want to make mistakes, so I'm not going to say he made mistakes. When you clearly see mistakes, you literally just mentioned all of them, not literally, but you mentioned a load of issues where Muhammad clearly differed and deviated from what is actually said in the scriptures. Mm-hmm. When you go to the scriptures to read what you just said about what Muhammad said, it's not there. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Just like when you talk
That's
about
the point,
story,
bro.
Just like when you okay, so are you defending the Islamic dilemma, or are you guys now telling us what the Islamic dilemma is?
Just give me a second, bro. First of all, Deen, I just want to let you know that just wait, bro. Just wait. First of all, Deen, Godlogic was in the chat, so I just want to let you know that. I was gonna say,
why doesn't Avery come on? Let him come on.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was going to say. Let that Jahash come on so he can actually, because he's the originator of this stupidity. He's the regurgitator. So let him come on. But
brother, so are we having a decent conversation or what? You just
just wait. No, I'm going to come back to you. Just calm down.
You just
calm down, bro. You can't wait for 2 seconds? Bro, you can't wait for 2 seconds? All right. You can go on mute
Wait,
because
one sec.
you can wait for me to finish my point. I'm gonna come back to
Yeah,
you, bro.
bro.
Don't
I'm not
worry.
about to be up here if you disrespect me,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah,
Put
yeah,
that
yeah,
on
yeah.
mute.
No,
No
no problem.
reason.
Life. I dropped them. No problem. No problem. Yeah, you can finish what you were saying. Go ahead.
All right, bro. Appreciate it. So yeah, in general, what I'm saying is that what you've presented to us is the dilemma. But what you're saying is no, it's not a dilemma. It's the opposite. Instead of Muhammad getting these things wrong, he's correcting all these things, or he's arguing against these things. And what we're saying is that that makes no sense if he is trying to be in line with the previous prophets. So let me ask you this. Is Muhammad here to contradict the previous prophets, or is he here to line up with the previous prophets? Because when we go try to find their message, it differs. And he's saying something completely different. And for you to say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is the Injil that your Quran speaks of, well, we know that in that book, it talks about someone preaching a different gospel than they preached, that man is actually not from God. So he's not a prophet at all. He's a false prophet. So I don't understand how you can, how are you putting the two together? It's like you're turning a blind eye. Like I said earlier, I may have not said this literally, but like I say all the time to Muslims, instead of accepting, and I'm gonna finish here so you can go, instead of accepting that man, Muhammad made mistakes, he made blunders, what he said was wrong, you guys flip it, and now you make him a corrector of previous scriptures, because what you just said right now, you assume he didn't want errors, you assume he didn't want to make mistakes, you assume he wouldn't contradict
you just said, wait, I'm not assuming anything, because you just said that the author of the Quran, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wouldn't want contradictions in the book. It's literally clipped, bro. Like you just said it 5 minutes ago. So let me work on this.
Can I just respond to that 10 seconds, please? 10 seconds.
I gave you a good 2 minutes, bro. I gave you a good 2 minutes. I'm just working off that.
But it's gonna make so much sense, Dean. I promise, bro.
Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds, bro. 10 seconds.
I appreciate it, bro.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea. But first, let's talk about the things they don't tell you.
Look, I can write a book right now with 1,000 words. I don't want to make mistakes when I write that book. Does that mean that I'm not?
Okay, no problem. I'll work off that. So you just shifted what you were saying before, because what you just said just now was, I'm assuming he doesn't want contradictions or mistakes. I'm assuming that he's trying not to make mistakes. But as you just proved right now, he does want for there not to be mistakes. But it's just that it's just not going to happen. So okay, no problem. But the point is, all I'm proving to you right now is that it's not an absolute confirmation. It's a general confirmation. Whether the substance of what the Prophet ﷺ, according to you, he's the author, whether the substance is actually a correction or not, neither here or there. I don't want to engage on that. I'm not interested. What I'm interested in is, does the author of the Quran, I think it's okay for him to contradict the Torah and the Gospel, what you have in your possession? And the position is clearly yes, he doesn't mind doing so, because you admitted before he thinks it's possible he's contradicting the Torah and Gospel. He's not certain, but he knows it's possible. And yet the author of the Quran, like it says in the Quran, that if it wasn't from God, you would have found contradictions in there. So you wouldn't want contradictions in your book. Now, the author of the Quran doesn't want contradictions in his book, and yet contradicts material he's hearing again and again and again. That makes no sense at all, that he's going to take a gamble again and again and again, that what he's correcting is actually what's in the true books that are going around, because he's literally correcting material that he's hearing. He's hearing material that he knows is what they have written, and then goes ahead and edits that material. One example being that I gave you, Solomon disbelieving.
Mm-hmm.
And then another example is God resting and being refreshed. That's found in Surah Qaf, verse 38, where God says, I'll give you the verse right now. And we did certainly create the heavens and earth and what is between them in 6 days, and there touched us no fatigue. This is a response to the Exodus, The author of the Quran would have heard a tradition saying God created the heavens and earth in 6 days, then rested and was refreshed. Then the author of the Quran says, you know what, there's an issue here. I don't believe in this. Therefore, the author of the Quran doesn't believe in everything that is in the Torah. The same way with the Injil. The author of the Quran hears the seed parable. The author of the Quran hears these other stuff that I told you at the beginning that are in the Injil. Then he hears the crucifixion and says, okay, that might, I'm granting you the author of the Quran is using oral traditions. The oral tradition he hears about the crucifixion, he's saying, okay, it might be in the Injil or that they have in their book, or it might not be in the Injil. I don't really care. I'm going to edit it because it's not true. This is from the author's paradigm now. Now, obviously that disproves the dilemma, because there's not just contradictions, unconscious contradictions made by the Quranic author. There's conscious contradictions on a level of themes. Prophets not committing major sins, like Aaron, peace be upon him, Solomon, peace be upon him, them not committing major sins. Musa alayhi salam not having leprosy, this is an edit. God not resting and being refreshed, that's an edit. You have all these indications that the author of the Quran is intentionally editing material he hears and doesn't have an issue with that material actually being in the text. Otherwise, he wouldn't be taking that risk because he doesn't want any contradictions in his book.
Okay. So I think the problem that we're having here is that, one, you're taking this to be Muhammad was right about what he said. And so when he said something that differed from the previous scriptures, granted, if he heard a story about Jesus being crucified and he wanted to speak out against it and say something otherwise, then you're saying that what he's doing is he's basically saying that this didn't happen. And you're believing that what he said is true. And so you're not
addressing the point. So sorry to say, you're not addressing the point.
I'm getting to the point.
I told you from the very beginning, whether it's true or not that he wasn't crucified, whether it's true or not what the Quran is saying is irrelevant.
Let me make it short then.
Yeah,
I'll make it short.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make it short as possible.
Yeah.
You're assuming he's editing things instead of getting things wrong.
Okay, show me how it is not. Oh my God. The verse I just told you.
What you're saying is showing everyone how Muhammad was wrong.
Is this an edit? Yes or no? From the Exodus narrative. Okay, here's the verse. Is this an edit?
If he says something that differs from the original Exodus narrative, it's wrong. It's not an edit. It's wrong.
What do you mean it's wrong? What do you mean
it's wrong? He's editing the text. For example, in the Old Testament, it says that for example, in the Old Testament, it says Isaac was the one taken up.
Yeah.
In the Quran, Muhammad is saying it was Ishmael.
That shows me your ignorance. I mean, you just got clipped, brother. Because where in the Quran does it say it was Ismail?
Am I not mistaken? What is it? Does it say Ishmael?
You know, there's a different opinion on that, bro.
Doesn't it say the firstborn?
That's what the Bible says.
No, the Bible says the firstborn. The Bible says Isaac was the one taken up, right?
Yeah. But it says the firstborn
for the sacrifice. Okay, so in your Quranic belief, who was the one taken up for the sacrifice?
It's not my Quranic belief. It's you said the Quran says so. The Quran doesn't say so. It's an interpretation of a scholar. Okay, so the early scholars, and this shows me, bro, like you don't even know the contents of the Quran, let alone the tafsirs, and then you're coming here and trying to say, oh, the Quran is unconsciously doing these things and is just making mistakes. When in fact, the earliest tafsirs of the verses about who was sacrificed, the majority of the scholars said it was Ishaq actually. Early scholars, all of them, they said it was Ishaq.
Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said,
the vast majority. Hold on, work on this. Yeah, the vast majority. Go ahead. Yeah,
the mass majority of what I've heard was the argument against it being Ishmael and not Isaac. So when I read the passage, I haven't read the passage in a while. They pointed to the fact that this is referring to Ishmael. So if it doesn't explicitly say Ishmael, then that's fine. But I can go I can go to other passages like what I did already with the Zechariah story, and I can show you that it differs. I can go to the story of Joseph, and I can show you that it differs. And what you're saying is that it's specifically an edit. You're saying that he's not getting these things wrong when he's telling these stories or when he's reiterating things about the previous scriptures. He's not getting it wrong. He's editing them. And I'm saying that's a big leap because what you've essentially done is said that Muhammad can't get things wrong. So when we see the things that he said that differs from the previous scriptures, he's editing them instead of actually getting these things wrong.
Okay. So life. Let me understand something here. Is the Prophet ﷺ, according to the author of the Quran, is he editing the Exodus narrative here? Is he changing it?
He's getting it wrong. He's getting it wrong.
What do you mean he's getting it wrong? You're just assuming
okay, well,
Dean,
what Exodus narrative? Wait, what Exodus narrative? What Exodus narrative is he referring to? Is he referring to the Exodus narrative in the Old Testament?
Just wait.
Of course. Wait. If I want to press this point for a sec. Life. Where does it say that God was rested and refreshed in the Bible? Where does it say that?
Clearly in the Old Testament.
Okay, in Exodus, right? So when God, when the author of the Quran here is saying that God created the heavens and earth in 6 days, and then he was not touched with fatigue, is this a response to Exodus? Yes or no?
Oh my gosh, bro, this is embarrassing. Okay,
is this a response? Why ain't you answering, dude?
Dean. Can you guys just let me talk for a second, bro? I've been listening to you guys. Life, can you just give me a minute, bro? Please, just wait. I've been listening to you guys talk for like 20 minutes, bro. I'm understanding where you guys are going wrong. Just wait, bro. I understood you. Well, I understood you. Like, what you're trying to say is, 1 second. Yeah, well, you just spoke for 20 minutes. I just listened to you. Just listen to me for 2 minutes. That's all I'm asking you to do. No, I listen to you as well, brother. Can you listen to me for 2 minutes? Is that okay?
I would like to directly respond to him really quick.
That's fine. I'll let you respond to him. For as long as you like, give me 2 minutes. I'll give you as long as you want. Okay, barakallah fik. So Life, what you're trying to say is that we're assuming Muhammad is right. Therefore, whenever we see something that looks like a mistake, it must be like edited, right? That's basically what you're trying to say. Now, what I want to explain to you, Akhi, is that we're not assuming Muhammad is right. That's not what Deen's trying to tell you. He's trying to say that that's irrelevant, whether Muhammad's right or wrong. He's trying to explain to you that he's consciously editing material. Whether he's right or wrong is irrelevant, right? That shows that he's generally confirming something, because if you hear something and then you change it, that clearly shows that you don't agree with what you're changing. Otherwise, you wouldn't change it to begin with. That's all he's trying to get you to acknowledge. That's the first point. Now, the second point, Akhi, Deen, if you can get the reference I gave you about the Exodus. Scholars say, according to the book of Exodus, it says that 600,000 men walked through the Exodus from Egypt into Sinai, right? According to the biblical account. Do you agree with that, Life? 600,000 men went through the Exodus?
Just make your point, bro.
I'm just asking you a yes or no question. Do you agree with that or not?
I'm not having a discussion with you. I'm having a discussion with you. Just make your point.
No problem. According to the Bible, 600,000 men went through the Exodus, right? Now, that's just the soldiers, including the men and women, the women and children as well. That would be upwards of 1 to 2 million people. Now, there's no evidence of this happening at all whatsoever. There's zero evidence of this, no epigraphic evidence, no archaeological evidence. The Egyptians didn't keep any records of this, which we would expect them to keep. They kept it for lesser nomadic tribes, but they didn't keep it for them. So this is a clear historical error. It's not that we assume it's a historical error, it's that the historians themselves, Yitzhak Rabin, all these different historians, they're all saying it's a historical error. Now, the Quran corrects this. So it's confirming that an Exodus did happen. That's the general confirmation that Deen's telling you about. It's confirming an Exodus did happen, but it's correcting it in that it's saying that the number is not the same as what you're saying. You're saying it's 600,000 or 1 to 2 million people in total. The Quran says, it has Pharaoh saying directly that it was but a small band of people. It was but a small band of people. So the Quran is doing a general confirmation of the Exodus, but it is editing out the false material, filtering it out, right? And showing and confirming what is true about it. So in that way, we take what is true and we leave what is false. Does that make sense, brother? We're not assuming Muhammad is right. The evidence actually just lines up on our side.
So essentially, So essentially, this is something we can verify to be whether true or false. The Bible is clearly false on the account of 600,000. The Quran is clearly plausible, and inspiring philosophy takes this view that it's a small Exodus, even though the Bible doesn't say it's small. It says it's massive. The Quran says it's small. So here's like one example where we can verify the conscious edit actually being true.
Are you feeling stuck with $10,000 or more in debt and all the interest that comes with it? Try National Debt Relief.
All right. So you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. So I've actually understood your position this entire time, and I keep telling you that it's irrelevant, bro. Like, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You are making the assumption that you can just pose an edit as someone who has knowledge of what they are correctly presenting. I do not care about that. I don't care about him hearing a story and then coming back and saying something different. I don't care about him hearing something from the Jews and then rejecting what the Jews said and decided to add something about what he said on there as well. That's irrelevant, because the problem is that he's pointing you back to scripture. He's not here to contradict scripture, as you said. He's not here to make errors. He's not here to make mistakes. He's not here to do this, right? Muhammad is here to confirm the previous scriptures and be in line with what the messengers taught. So what you've done is you've said Muhammad is right. So every time we see something that goes wrong in the biblical narrative, we're going to say that Muhammad was making an edit.
Bro, I just told you it's wrong.
And this is the problem. And this is the problem that I'm having here, where I don't think that you understand that I understand your position, but I'm saying you don't get the right to just pose that position as if it is correct. This is the point that I'm making. So what I'm saying is that you've basically given me the Islamic dilemma in a nutshell. And you're basically saying, yeah, it is a dilemma if you don't look at it this way. Because if Muhammad is not making edits, then he's getting things incorrect, right? So the opposite would be true of what you're saying, correct?
Okay.
If he's not making if he's not making edits, then Muhammad is just incorrectly making statements about what happened before, correct?
Yeah, so like we told you at the very beginning, whether it's true or not on what the edit is saying is irrelevant. The point is that he's hearing something actively contradicting it. You said you don't care if that's the case, but that's the whole point. The whole point is the material he's getting from the Christians and Jews that could potentially be the Torah and Injil. The author of the Quran doesn't mind contradicting it because he chooses at times to oppose it. So there goes the dilemma for you, seriously. And you're telling me
Islamic dilemma. You've essentially,
dude. I'll let you finish. Life, don't do this, bro. Like, I just let you finish. Come on. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a case, for example, where we have a general confirmation in the same sense as the Quran is making a general confirmation of the previous scriptures. Before I do, I want to give you a scholarly note. Do you believe Muhaiminan in chapter 5 verse 48 means that the Quran dictates what is true and false in the previous scriptures?
To the super organizers and the running out of tapers, breathe easy. There's space for you here.
Brother, just make your argument, man, because you're not letting me speak. Yeah. You're now trying to dissect and
what do you mean? Bro, we can. What are you talking about, dude? Are you like delusional? I just let you speak.
I was trying to directly hash out this edit argument, and you just keep going with it, and you don't want to move away from it. If you're gonna leave the conversation with you assuming that you can just assert Muhammad isn't wrong, he's just making edits.
Oh my God.
Bro, we just said we're not doing that. Bro, can you listen to the words coming out of our mouth? I just told you we don't assume Muhammad is right. The evidence is on our side. Bro, yeah, that doesn't mean we're assuming he's right. He can edit something and be wrong, bro. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I can edit something and do it wrong.
Thank you for just cooking yourself.
No, I'm cooking you dumbass, bro. What are you yapping about? He could do it wrong, but he does it right every time.
One second.
That's my point, bro.
Yeah. So, Life, do you concede on the basic level that the author of the Quran doesn't mind contradicting what he thinks could possibly be the Torah and Injil? He doesn't mind conceding that, yeah?
Yes, bro. That's the point, bro. He's
making
about a book.
The dilemma's gone.
Dean, let me respond.
Go ahead. But it's refuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. That's the point. And your boy just basically gave me the entire argument. He's editing stuff, and you guys like to use the word edit, right? Fine. He's editing things, but he can still be wrong. From
your paradigm, yeah. From your paradigm, we're saying.
Oh, from his paradigm. That's what he said, not me.
No, bro. Don't be stupid. Life. Life. Don't act stupid, bro. Obviously, that's.
Bro, I'm gonna become a Shia and hit myself. Bro. Yeah. I'm actually gonna become a Shia and hit myself. Life. Life. I didn't blunder shit, bro. Listen to the words coming. Explain to me the blunder. I'm going to give you the chance to explain the blunder. I'm going to repeat what I said, and you're going to tell me where's the blunder, all right? Muhammad is editing things, right? According to you and according to me, right? Now, you think he's getting it from nonsense, and I think he's getting it from God, okay? Now, Muhammad is doing the edits. Now, he can edit it right or he can edit it wrong, right? Whenever he makes an edit. Now, I'm telling you that every time he edits something, he edits it right. And I'm giving you the example of the Exodus. In the Bible, it says 600,000 men went from the Sinai to from Egypt to the Sinai, and we have no evidence of this fact at all. It's a historical error. That's why the scholars say this Exodus didn't happen, or if it did, it was on a very minor scale, right? That's what most historians say. I'm telling you that Muhammad confirms the Exodus, so he doesn't edit. He says yes, the edit is he confirms the Exodus, but he confirms that it only happened with 600 people, with a very small amount of people. And our earliest tafsir say 600, not 600,000, 600. So here, take this example. Please respond to it. Is Muhammad wrongly editing the Exodus, or is he editing it to be in line with history? That's my question to you. Please answer it, for the love of Allah. Otherwise, I'm going to become Shia. I'm going to hit myself.
Yeah. So when he says something that differs from the previous scriptures, he's wrong. He's getting
no. When he
incorrect
the Exodus.
That's the point.
The Exodus. So Muhammad is wrong when he says the Exodus was a small group of people. He's wrong,
brother. If he is
yes or no,
if he's referring if he's referring to history and he's referring to these previous scriptures,
is the Bible inherent in history? The Bible has no historical mistakes.
As in what Muhammad says, he's a compromise, right? He's here to confirm the previous scriptures, right?
No, bro, you don't understand, bro. Don't quote to me like you know what I'm talking about, man.
Those scriptures are where you find this information.
Brother, you're not answering my question. When he says the Exodus,
hold on, bro.
Talk about the Exodus. Is he wrong when he says the Exodus is smaller? No, I'm listening, but you're not talking about what I'm talking about.
I'm giving you the answer.
No, you're not. Okay, very simple. The question is very easy. The Exodus, not generally, I'm asking specifically about the Exodus. When Muhammad says the Exodus was a smaller amount of people, and the Bible says it was 2 million people, is he right or is he wrong? That edit that he makes, it's a conscious edit. Does he do it to be in line with history or not in line with history? It's a very simple question, yes or no, and then you can expound. But first, give me a yes or no. Is he doing it to be in line with history or outside of history? Go ahead, please.
Okay, Muhammad is wrong. Okay.
Okay.
Why is he wrong?
Just wait. He cooked himself. He says Muhammad is wrong. The Exodus edit is incorrect.
Leave. You gotta let him speak, bro. You said you're gonna let him speak after you said directly yes or no.
All right, fine. I'll let him speak, but you're gonna put the source up after.
Yeah, go on, live.
Okay, look, this is what we're gonna do here, man. I'm gonna try and talk to Dean. So it's either this dude gotta go or he gotta stay on mute. And if that's not gonna happen, I'm gonna go answer this question. I'm not dealing with this dude here, bro.
Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Now, please just answer.
All right, I appreciate
the point he was making. Go ahead.
All right. So I already did. Muhammad is wrong.
Why is he wrong?
Okay, now because what he's doing is he's confirming the books before him. The previous scriptures, he's confirming them before him, right? It's a confirmation of previous scriptures, not a contradiction of previous scriptures. Also, if at any time that I spoke to you and it sounded like I agreed with you that Muhammad is making an edit, i.e., let me read the definition: prepare written material for publication by correcting, condensing, or otherwise modifying it, right? Yep. If you're assuming that you're using the word edit as in Muhammad is correcting the previous scriptures, I do not agree with that. If I gave you the position of saying, fine, if you want to use this word edit, then that's fine. But I've continuously said, I don't believe Muhammad is editing anything. He's getting it wrong. So when your boy Luffy tried to tell me that I agree with you guys that Muhammad is editing the previous scriptures, that's false. I believe that Muhammad is trying to fall in line with the previous scriptures, the previous prophets, and the previous message, and he made errors in re-recording or remaking statements, reiterating things from the biblical narrative. That's the point. Muhammad,
even if he made a mistake, bro, he's still editing. If you can edit and make a mistake, dumbass. If he's editing, he can still make a mistake. So if you tell me he didn't edit, but yet he still made a mistake, that means he edited, dumbass.
Attention, dude. I'm not talking. What? Are you okay? Bro. He's not even paying attention, bro. This dude he's lost. He's lost.
Okay. Life. Listen. you're saying that. Okay, here I'm going to show you how uncharitable you're being with the Quran here. So I'm gonna bring an analogy for you. Matthew 23, the verse that everyone loves. Okay. So Jesus says to the crowd and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. Okay. When Jesus says to do everything that the Pharisees teach, is he saying absolutely everything, or is he saying generally?
Bro, you guys got to stop with this argument here. This argument
Can
is
you
terrible.
respond? Yeah, can you respond?
This argument is terrible, bro.
Can you respond, please? Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Of course, it's not you. Of course, you're not supposed to do every single thing the Pharisees teach, especially if it goes against the gospel message. Of course.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why is it not everything? Absolutely. He says everything right there.
In accordance with what?
Oh, in accordance with when he sits on Moses' seat?
In accordance with what?
When they sit on Moses' seat, meaning when they follow the Torah, yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you. And then using this Bible passage, in accordance with what?
In accordance with this Bible passage and academic commentaries, in accordance with the Torah and what Jesus taught.
Oh, thank you. So you know that that's not everything, especially if it goes
okay. So would you classify it as a general affirmation?
Wait. Especially if it goes against the narrative that is being preached. So you understand that. Right?
So would you say it's a general affirmation?
No.
It's not a general affirmation. Have you read any commentaries on this passage?
Brother, that's irrelevant. What I'm saying is that the passage.
A genuine question. Have you read any commentaries on the passage?
Have I read commentaries on that passage? No.
Yeah, you haven't. Okay. You know, almost I can bring you about 3 or 4 Christian academic commentaries right now that say it's a general confirmation right here.
Okay. Well, if they say it's a general confirmation, then that's fine. The point is that what I'm saying is that passage doesn't help you.
Okay.
That's the point.
So what makes this not everything?
What you're saying is you're trying to assert that my position all of a sudden, because you keep saying that what I'm saying, what I'm giving you is not like plausible, right? Which is you guys are just making Muhammad correct because he made statements and you see that it differs tremendously from the previous.
It's not correct. No. But okay. Wait. I seriously want to make it with clarity. I'm not doing this so I can put one on you, you put one on me. No. Okay.
This is Buick now. Buick.
Whenever you say we're making it seem like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is always right, you need to sack that, because we're not talking about whether he's right or not. Right now, we're talking about whether he is comfortable with editing material he hears. If yes, then the dilemma's gone, dude. The dilemma's gone. Because what the dilemma usually is if you watch what David Wood and all these people say, the author of the Quran doesn't know that he's contradicting the very scripture that he should be confirming. That's the whole dilemma. Now, if the author of the Quran is comfortable with the oral traditions he's hearing, if he's comfortable with the fact that it's possible that he is altering the Torah or Injil, and he's okay with that, and he does it again and again and again and again and again, then most likely it's not an absolute affirmation. And this is exactly. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is so bad. So the point, and I love how you went to a Bible verse to try to assert some sort of position to where, yeah, Muhammad is he's confirming the previous scriptures, he's pointing you back to the previous scriptures, but you can only believe what he says about the previous scriptures is true. So he's only confirming what he says about the previous scriptures. The previous scriptures aren't standalone on its own outside of Muhammad. That's the position that you're bringing in. And I'm saying that's an invalid position.
How isn't that analogous to Matthew 23 though? How isn't that analogous?
Because what'd you say?
How is it analogous to Matthew 23?
Brother, I understand the connection that you guys are making as far as like between the two passages. I understand that point. For example, when you have something that's not fully literal, where it's obvious, like it's obvious you don't do everything these guys say, because if they tell you to follow Satan, then does that mean follow Satan?
No.
If they tell you to reject Jesus,
let me clarify something.
I mean, reject Jesus. I obviously understand.
Wait. Let me clarify something.
That's not what.
Life. let me clarify something for you, right? Let me clarify something. So, 1 second. The point here is with this whole idea of the confirmation of what the Pharisees are teaching. The point here is that the Pharisees taught the oral law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now Jesus confirmed parts of the oral law, yeah?
Brother, what is the point? I'm trying.
Did he
Hold on.
Did he confirm parts or not?
Hold
Bro,
on.
come on.
Hold on,
dude.
bro. Because you cut me off to go back to that verse when I was just addressing how I understand what you're trying to do with the passage.
Did he confirm parts of the oral law? Yes or no?
Brother, that's oh my gosh, Dean.
Did he confirm parts of the oral law? Yes, it's very simple.
Dean, you have to understand my position in order to have a real build. I heard what you said about that passage already. We already talked about that. Now let me show you how problematic this is for your Quran. You want to assert that your Quran is generally confirming the previous scriptures. The problem is that you guys are saying that the scriptures are corrupted, the scriptures are changed, the scriptures have been altered. There's some specific issues with the scriptures in itself, while at the same time your God is telling these people that they have nothing to stand on unless they observe these scriptures. While at the same time, your God in chapter 2, verses 2-5 says that the successful Muslim and the rightfully guided Muslim will be the one who believe in all of what Allah has revealed, meaning all the book.
Yes.
And also you have that other verse in chapter 2 as well, where it talks about specifically believing in one passage and disbelieving in another. So you have an understanding in your book, if this is what you want to do, because I didn't want to go here yet, but you have the understanding in your own book where you're passing down scripture and the prophet is trying to align himself with this towards the end of the mark. He's the seal of the prophets, or etc. Right? He is in line with all the previous prophets, the previous message. But you're deriving what part of that message is true from what this man says. So it's not he is in line with the previous scriptures. He's in line with the previous prophets. He's in line with the previous message. It's whatever he says about the previous scriptures and previous prophets are true. Let me give you an example of that. Let's talk about.
You've been going for way too long. I can't let you do that. Okay.
Well,
so Matthew 23. Listen. Life. I'll let you speak. I'm gonna address what you said on 285. I'm gonna address your points there. No problem. I can't let you keep going on and on. I need to engage. So, before I address 285, on Matthew 23, did Jesus teach that parts of the oral law are true?
Dude, are you gonna let me make my point? Like, are you gonna let me make my point?
I literally just let you make your point, dude.
No,
I'll let you speak for a good minute.
I'm directly responding to you about this position, and I'm giving you an example.
Here, life. I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'm gonna make a deal with you.
My full position down. Like, that's the point. You're asking me questions after letting me speak, and you're saying, "Oh, I gotta go." But bro, you're not allowing me to actually show you my position of how your theology is.
How long do you need, life?
That's the point.
How long do you need? How long do you want? How long? 30 seconds?
It's not a time thing. I don't need a bunch of time.
You just
I want
to 2 minutes.
I want to show you my position on what it is that you're doing.
You spoke for a good 2 minutes, dude. I need to start speaking. Like, how long do you need?
I mean, bro, let's 2.5 minutes.
What are you talking about, bro? You just spoke for 2.5 minutes right now.
I just told you it's not me speaking. I want to go back and forth with you.
Bro, Dean, billah alek, bro, kick this guy. He's the biggest jahash I've ever seen in the world, bro. I get you want to farm him for clips, bro, but you have enough clips. Billah alek. He didn't answer the Exodus point. He didn't answer the Matthew 23 point. Every time you pin him on anything, he just switches and says that's irrelevant.
He didn't
bro,
pin
please,
me on
billah alek.
Life. Okay, no problem. Life. Wallahi, uqsim billah, I'll give you 2.5 minutes that you want. But everyone's saying, like, as Difi just mentioned, you are shifting from the Matthew 23 point. I haven't gotten to the point that I want to make with it, which is Jesus selectively affirms traditions from the oral law. Okay, so life. answer this question. I'll make my case, and then you can speak for a good 3 minutes. I'll give you a good 3 minutes, no problem. I've been very fair throughout this whole thing. Hence why you told me, okay, I'll speak with you, no problem, etc., etc. Okay, I'm trying to be as fair. I'm trying to be as fair as possible.
All right, since we're gonna do this thing, bro, you make your point about the passage. We're not gonna ask anybody questions because clearly you don't want me to ask you questions on my point that I brought up.
Bro, I'll allow it once I'm done.
I'm gonna mute up. Dean, this your stage, bro. You do what you want. I'm gonna mute up, make your argument for the passage, and then I will respond. And then I'm gonna make my argument without asking you questions, and then you can respond. How about that?
So you're not gonna answer my question for me to make this point?
Because you're not allowing me to do the same thing. I was just trying to do that when I was done with my statement, and you didn't want to. You said, "Oh, let's go back to that verse."
You just okay. How about this? You ask your question, and I'll give you my answer. I'll ask my question. You give me your answer. I'll expand, and then you expand. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay, so ask your question. Go ahead.
All right. So, in accordance with what we've been discussing, right? Would you agree that you're asserting that when Muhammad differs from the previous scriptures, that he's right?
Okay, bro. What do you mean by right? Go ahead.
What do you mean? What do I mean by right?
As in, is the correction more historical? Is it in reality true more than the Bible?
Is he right, bro? So when he says Jesus wasn't crucified, is he right?
Okay. Yes, he is right, but that's got nothing to do with the Islamic dilemma. Okay, so can you answer my question now?
See, because you see how you keep trying to go, like you keep trying to. That's not it, bro. Like, what do you mean?
Okay. Can you? Life. You agreed. You disagreed to me. You can expand, life.
Either you agree.
You can expand.
You agree. Oh my gosh.
I don't want to meet you, bro. I just told you right now. You ask your question, I'll answer. I'll ask my question, you answer, and then I expand, then you expand. Then we leave it there. Then I'm
bro, what are we doing here, bro? We're supposed to be.
You just agreed.
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America, like the people who keep this country moving. For them, only a
you just agreed to you just agreed to this before.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Look, bro.
Answer my question.
Your argument. Hold on. Make your argument about Matthew, right?
Course,
the same Bible that you cherry pick from. Go ahead and make your argument about that. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna listen, and then I'm gonna make my statement. And then
yes,
from there,
we just agreed to that. Yes,
from there we could just close out because you're not.
I just agreed to that.
I didn't say question for question, as in I say something, you answer, then you say something, I answer.
You just agreed to that. Okay. Can you answer one question?
It's going over your head, man.
Life, but you
just go ahead. I'll listen to you about. I'll listen to you.
Can you answer my question? Okay, no problem. Before you leave, I just want to ask you one question. Did Jesus affirm parts of the oral law while disregarding others? And then I'll say my last statement, and you can say your last statement.
Make your argument.
Bro,
just make your case, bro. Dean, I'm listening to you. Just make your case, bro.
Why are you running from the
Nobody
question?
is running, but you're doing this.
I just answered your question. Did I not just answer your question? Did I just answer your question? If I answered your question, you're not answering mine.
I'm giving you the same thing that you're giving me, bro. If you don't want to answer my question, you're shifting from what I'm trying to present.
I just answered your question, dude.
You're trying to go back to the
life. Okay, life, no problem. You ask your question.
Heavy gaslighting. Oh, I answered your question. I answered your question.
Okay, life.
But you're not even understanding the point. You're not understanding what I'm actually saying that we're supposed to be doing in the conversation.
Ask your question, expand, and then I'll ask my question and expand, and we leave it there. Okay, go ahead. What's your question? Because I want my question answered. Go ahead.
Gosh. Okay. So, do you understand?
But do you agree on what I just said? Do you agree on what I just said? Do you agree that you ask your question, you expand, I ask my question, I expand, and we leave it there? Do you agree?
I agree to you need to build my point.
So you don't agree that you can answer my question?
I will answer your question if you allow the point to be built. Do you understand that?
Yeah,
you want to say, I answered this, and then you want to just go off and go back to the point when the question of the statement has to be built. I'm building something.
Oh, you're building something. Okay. Okay. No problem. How many questions? Okay. I'll give you what you want. How many questions do you want to build your point? Go ahead. I'll make it as fair as possible for you, bro. How many questions do you like? 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Dean, man, this is bad, bro.
are you gonna answer my? I'm giving you everything you want, and you're still running. You're still running from the question.
No, you're not, bro. You watch this.
Life, I'm willing to let you grill me right now with 3 questions and to expand. I'm willing to let you have that as long as you answer one of my questions. That's all I want. So go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro. You can ask your questions. I'll give you answers as much as you want for the next 5 minutes. Here. You got to 2:58 a.m. Go ahead. Make your point. Build your case. Life.
Yeah, bro. You ready to like?
You got 5 minutes to build your case.
You ready to get it together or what, bro? I'm confused about what's going on, man. You ready or what?
You got 5 minutes to build your case.
Okay. So let's go back to point 1. Is Muhammad correct when he makes these statements?
Yes, because I believe he's getting revelation from God.
Thank you. So because you believe that he's getting revelation from God, you believe that when he makes blunders from my position, you believe that the blunders that are being made are not blunders, they're actually edits. Correct? This is what you're saying?
Yes, because I would say that you're wrong for identifying them as blunders. There's no clear blunder that the Quran makes.
Yeah, the clear blunder is that he says Jesus wasn't crucified. While at the same time, you said you believe Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is actually the Torah and the Injil. Excuse me, my bad. You said Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is actually the Injil. When you go into that Injil, he's literally being crucified. He's literally being crucified. He's not.
Yeah. So,
it doesn't appear so. It doesn't do anything. So why is he wrong? I mean, excuse me. Why is Muhammad not wrong?
Yeah.
That's what technology does. Is it starts out as something useful, but it usually ends up so altering the.
So the reason why he's not wrong here is 1, he's doing a general confirmation of the Injil. It's not absolute. My justification is, and we're going to get to it in a second, in Matthew 23, that at times Jesus contradicts the oral law the same way that the Quran at times contradicts parts from the Injil and has no problem with that, or the Torah. So it's very clear, because there's conscious edits made, that it should be treated as a general affirmation. And obviously with the Quran, I believe that shubbiha lahum, it was made to appear so, is true, because I have independent reasons to take Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as a prophet of God.
Okay, so thank you. Back in circles. So Muhammad is right because he's a prophet from God. So basically, Muhammad is confirming that Muhammad is true. I'm saying from my perspective, when I hear that, you don't have any real basis to say that this man is actually right about this event that was heavily recorded, this event that was literally recorded in the books that you believe that he's talking about. You believe that he's right because he's a prophet of God. You believe that he actually got a real revelation from God. Now, the problem with that is that you don't actually really know if this man was wrong. You assume that he's right because you believe it's from God. That means that anything that he says, anything that he talks about the previous scriptures, you're not going to grant him that he was wrong. You're going to grant that he's making an edit. That's the point that I'm addressing with you, is that you don't really want to see how Muhammad has made multiple blunders, how Muhammad has spoke on a religion that he knows nothing about. He hears about it and he makes mistakes in regards to reiterating these statements. Now, in regards to this, and the entire conversation was legitimately about this point here, is that you guys want to assert that Muhammad is automatically right on the basis of what Muhammad said. But if we go back in history, and we look at the statements being made, Muhammad is false. So for the same reason that you can say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is the Injil your Quran speaks of, and I can go in and pick apart whatever is true and whatever is not because you feel like Muhammad is a true prophet. Now, all of a sudden, you will throw that position out when Muhammad is found to be wrong. And you say, oh, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's the prophet.
Okay. It's 2:58 now. Okay, so you got a good 5 minutes. Now, the response to that, and then we're going to get to the Matthew 23 point now. So the response to what you've just said is obviously there's independent reasons we take for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to be a true prophet from God. Now, you're going to say it's a historical error because Jesus was crucified. But the fact of the matter is the Quran says Shubiha lahum, so they saw as though Jesus was crucified. So it's not an error. There's no contradiction here. The Quran affirms that the historical reality is that they saw Jesus being crucified. So there's no historical error here. Where there is a historical error is in the Exodus narrative where it says there were 600,000 men, and then excluding women and children. So there's about 2 million people. We have zero historical evidence for this. Your apologists cope on this point, like inspiring philosophy, etc. They say it's hyperbole when that's just an ad hoc reconciliation, while the Quran edits that and says no, it's a small group of people that fled in the Exodus. So where the Quran, you would say, would make a mistake if it's copying from the Bible, it doesn't make the mistake. Well, you guys do have a major historical error here. This is something we can actually verify. There's nothing in the Bible that says, oh, it was made to appear as though it was 600,000 in the Exodus. It just says the 600,000. So there's no way for you guys to reconcile that. Now, going to the Matthew 23 point. On Matthew 23, Jesus affirms. What are you doing? Dude. Either we're gonna do Matthew 23, or you're gonna get kicked out. Because I was very fair with you.
You don't want to get
allowed.
What do you mean? What do you mean,
brother? Life. Listen. I will have a formal debate with you, no problem. Formal debate with face cams on and everything. I'll have a formal debate on you on the Islamic dilemma, no issue at all. Can you let me speak on the topic that I want to bring now on my panel?
The topic is the Islamic dilemma. That's what we're discussing.
And Matthew 23 is
for some reason, I stop bringing up the Bible.
Dude, I let you make your point.
You don't want your position to be critiqued. That's the point. You want to say something. You want to say something, and then when I decide to critique the issue, you just keep saying, "Okay, we're done now."
I just let you critique it for a good 5 minutes, dude. I let you question me. I let you critique it. Can you be in the hot? I've been in the hot seat for 20 minutes now. Can you be in the hot seat for like 2 seconds?
Brother, your title is about the Quran being in a hot seat. I'm not gonna let you do. I'm not gonna let you
okay.
to the Bible.
And I'm showing you double standard.
You don't even accept the Bible.
Okay, answer this question. Answer this question for me to make my point. Did Jesus believe?
This is sad, bro. This is sad. Your title is "Come Defend the Islamic Dilemma."
You're acting like a clown, dude.
And yet, you can't stop from talking about the Bible.
You're acting like a clown, dude.
I'm confused.
Okay, it's fine. I'm gonna khalas.
Sorry, bro. Like, wallahi, you're being gaslit like 50 different times, bro. I told you, bro. This guy's a jahil.
Hey, have you ever been told you have a nice voice? Well, what if I told you you could turn your voice